One of the hardest things to do has got to be run a Kickstarter. There are thousands of decisions and choices that get made. Now, a lot of times you can use financial information that you gather. Hopefully you're getting quotes on manufacturing costs and shipping costs and things like that to help determine what are the best pledge levels. But it's a lot. How much are we going to offer? How much are we going to charge? Are we going to have miniatures or not? Where is this stuff being manufactured at? Are we going to do the Kickstarter first and then do the game development, or do we already have the game fully developed for the most part and we're just now trying to get funding to make it, the manufacturing happen? All sorts of things, the art and all that. And because of all of these choices, I have to think it's difficult, and that's why we see Kickstarters succeed, we see Kickstarters fail. People are getting better at it, and we see fewer, or at least I see fewer and fewer Kickstarters fail. But it still can happen. And even companies that have run successful campaigns in the past. Great example. I was actually going to do one of these Kickstarter reviews for Privateer Press's board game version of their skirmish game, Riot Quest. If you haven't heard of Riot Quest, it's fantastic. It's like a MOBA, and one part Saturday morning cartoon, and just otherwise good chaotic fun. What I've been collecting and getting into, the board game version would allow me to get to my goal of being able to play 4 players a little bit quicker. But it fell apart, and when I went in to check on it to see how much time I had left to make this video on it, it was canceled. And so, looking at it, they found out that the choices they had made had not worked. Well, now, another Kickstarter company, well, it's not really a Kickstarter company, but another company I love that uses Kickstarter and has done so successfully has also made some changes. And I don't know how to feel about all of them, but we'll dive into it with a look at Bone 6. Board games, role-playing games, assembling and painting models and miniatures. These are my hobbies. I'm Howard Blues, one half of the popular podcast Beer, Blues, and BS. And now join me as I rebuild my cave of wonder. Hi, everyone. Howard Blues here, and welcome back to Howard's Cave of Wonder. Sorry about a little bit too much of the rambling at the beginning, but I really do stand by this thing that you can make bad choices when it comes to having a Kickstarter. And I say this, and I don't want to be considered an armchair quarterback, because sure enough, every Kickstarter I've ever been in, there are armchair quarterbacks who are sitting there going, you should have done it this way. You should have split these pledges into this, and this. I see what you're doing here, but it would be so much better if you would have done this, or 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 this. I would concur with my partner and say we need Bat Cow in the game. These are the people I tend to not be able to stand. And you have to understand it. If you've been watching our regular episodes of Beer, Blues, and BS, you know that I've been excited for Bones 6 to get here and was watching intently and getting really excited. I love following Reaper's Bones Kickstarters. And I love it. Just, there's a certain energy about it and the way they've done it. I sign in right away. I get pledged right away. So I get every email because it's a joy to see what gets unlocked and what's coming up and going, wow, and letting it blow my mind. And with this one, they're doing it a little differently, at least to start. And I'm not going to lie, it's made it a little hard for me to get as excited about Bone 6 as I wanted. And part of it is their communication with all of us, the backers and such. And part of that is, I'm going to discuss this up front, and then we'll look into the Kickstarter. But I want to discuss this up front because it's the thing that has taken me the most out of following Bones 6, and that is they have kind of moved away from using the update system in Kickstarter and sending out the mass emails to everybody in exchange for focusing more on their Twitch audience. So they have been going every weekday live for about an hour, I think sometimes a little over, and that's where they're doing their updates and sharing information, answering questions, and revealing stuff, including future stretch goals. And I'm sorry, I have a toddler. I now have a brand new baby daughter. I don't have time to sit and watch Twitch. And so I am missing out on this stuff. And I know I am because I will sign in. I get maybe a few minutes and I pull up the Kickstarter and I start reading through the comments just to see what people are saying because I enjoy doing that. I'm trying to be enthused about it. And they'll say, "Oh man, have you seen this? I love this." I'm like, when was this revealed? I go back and I check my email because I checked it before I signed in the comments, but I hadn't seen an email from Reaper. And so I, now see this in the comments. I go back to my email going, did I miss an email? And I look and I'm like, no, there's no emails. I go back and I'm like, where is this? Where are you getting this information? And I'll then scroll to the campaign page, and sometimes I'm finding things there, but not always am I finding things there. And then realize, oh, you showed something off on Twitch. And they're not sharing it by other means. Thankfully, I am part of the Reaper Miniatures forum, which is an amazing forum. I know forums are kind of dying, but God, it's still a good one. And if you're into painting miniatures, I highly recommend it. Great folks over there. And I'm on there. Hard to find. I'm kind of more of a lurker, but I'm there. But there's a wonderful enthusiasm thread, and there's been some great folks who have the ability to watch the Twitch stream, and they are screenshotting stuff, and they are sharing it there. So that's one way that I've been finding it. And so that's what I want to say is maybe my biggest negative on this Kickstarter by Reaper is just the communication. Now they are getting better. We have had a couple of updates as of recently that have been more of the reveals and the close-ups and the things like that, and that feels a little bit better. But I'm not going to lie, the fact that they really haven't used the update system and their choice for a slower-paced Kickstarter, and they have said that themselves, has meant that there hasn't been as many unlocks, and so it's just been hard for me to get hyped about it and excited for it. And it's their company, their choices, and I can respect that. But it is the one thing that I think has kind of killed it a little bit, the excitement for me. But that said, there's been some really cool stuff in it. So let's dive into it, and I have a few other things pulled up to share. All right, so here we go. Here's our opening little page here. Reaper Miniatures Bone 6 Tales from the Green Griffins. They always have a different theme with these, and so this time it's Tales from the Green Griffin, which is kind of interesting because with a lot of the miniatures, when they've done the unlocks and such for them, there's been whole background stories and such for them. It's really kind of cool. You can see there's 22 days to go. This is ending April 30th, if I recall. Yes, it says down here, April 30th. So plenty of time to still get in on this. $888,437 raised on the backs of 6,435 backers. So let's scroll down. And here's a little Easter egg for you. There's Mr. Bones hiding right there behind the 6. Okay, coming down. So here they're giving just a little bit of the story, and it's, thanks to our incredible backers of our prior Kickstarter projects have been amazing successes and have allowed us to introduce hundreds of fantastic gaming miniatures into our Bones miniature product range. Bones 6 promises to offer you more variety and more amazing new miniatures. These miniatures are 28 millimeter heroic scale and injected in our Bones Black or Bones USA plastics. So one of the things that Reaper has been working to do is get all of their manufacturing, or a good chunk of their manufacturing, done in the United States. They're actually working on building a large factory at their home in Denton, Texas. So it's really kind of cool. Bones miniatures are ideal for RPG and tabletop games. They're a perfect way to get into the hobby of collecting, painting, gaming miniatures. They're also very cheap, which is why I like them. And yes, they are pretty resilient, which is great because I have a toddler. By backing Bones 6, you can help expand our Bones miniature lines. Your support makes the molds and that we need to produce these miniatures. The more backers we get, the more molds we produce, which means we make more miniatures. As a backer, you get to have your pick of these basic miniatures for a fantastic backer-only bargain deal. These really are a deal. A lot of times the core sets on these Bones Kickstarters, I mean, there are hundreds of miniatures in them, and we end up getting them at like 79 cents a piece or less. Yeah, it's a good deal by the time it all works out. And yeah, they're using this money to make the molds. And the guys who own the main owners of Reaper, they're accountants by trade. So you better believe they have their financials down to, we raise this much, we can make these molds. That's how it goes. So let's scroll down. I haven't watched this video. Maybe I will. Maybe that'll get me more hyped up about. One of the things that Bones Kickstarters are known for are their maps, and it shows their unlocks. So you can follow it down from 30,000 where they did the core set, 55,000. They unlocked the first of the Green Griffin expansions. I should talk about expansions and kind of the different ways that a Reaper Kickstarter goes. There is the core set, which is kind of the main bulk of it. And then they do expansions. And expansions are usually $50, and they are a themed box along a very specific theme. So in the past, there was the Dynamo set, which was all Japanese and Asian themed models. They did what else came out of there? Oh, the Greek Odyssey expansion, which was all Greek myth themed. So they're really great. And in the past, they have been done in like 3 chunks, 3 unlocks to unlock the full expansion. And this is one of those changes I said where they have purposely slowed down the campaign. Their thought is that it'll help keep there for being a lull, although I kind of think that the lull just hit them earlier because of just how it's ended up. But part of what they did is they broke these down into 5 instead of 3 unlocks. So that's kind of what that is. Besides those, there are add-ons that are just these optional things that you can pick up, things that don't quite fit into the core set or are more specialty units or things like that, or things that they think that people would like to buy multiples of. And then the other one that it's still part usually of the add-ons, but it's special enough to throw in because they started it in Bones 5, and everybody's hoping they'll do it in Bones 6. Encounter sets. And the encounter sets were really kind of cool because it was a small piece of terrain and a couple of figures that went with it. It was basically like your D&D encounter, all set up and in one place. I might take a drink of water to quell the hiccups. I have had a case of the hiccups that have gone on now for hours. It's been annoying. So thanks for the break. All right. So anyway, scrolling back through the map, we're seeing some of the other things. The Dawn Seekers, Dreadmere, we'll see these. Sullen Hall's another expansion. But you can see quite a few things have been unlocked in this case. And we're down here. This is the current one on deck. which is the second part of the Briarwood expansion. And then we have the fourth part of the Sullenhall expansion. It's next. And then we have the next map. So the core set. Let's look at this. So here's the current stretch goal for the Briarwood expansion, part 2 and 5. If we hit 900,000, these will-o-wisps, which are gorgeous, and these Kelpie figures. The Briarwood expansion is all Fae themed, and then Sullenhall is all undead themed, and it's this particular part is vampires. And look at these guys. Oh, they're cool. They are cool. I don't have a lot of vampires, but I do like this Vervalaka Elder. That just looks... one thing to keep in mind with the core set is the core set is kind of designed to basically be a jump start for anybody. In fact, this paragraph says it really well. The Bone 6 core set is the cornerstone of our Kickstarter. It's an exceptional value, and the number of miniatures inside the core set increases with the success of the Kickstarter. We started out with 30 Bones miniatures, and right off the bat, we throw in an additional 16 bonus zombies. But as Kickstarter grows, so will the core set. We have over 100 miniatures planned for our core set, and with your help, we'll help to continue to expand it. So they start off, and this is a thing that keeps getting added to, but it's a great value if you don't have a lot of miniatures, or you're just getting into this, or you're just getting into role-playing and you need figures. It's kind of a good generic set on selection. So let's look at this. The core set's $125. And here's what you get so far. So this Dragoth, which is this undead lord on a throne. I'll also say that a lot of the stuff in the core set, there's some new stuff, but a lot of it are reprints of older miniatures, like this dwarven rat catcher Borin, I believe is in metal. There's the adventure party that they were giving out as a preview if you were ordering from Reaper store. A selection of gnomes, which are great. I don't know that I have many gnomes, so I'm very excited for those. Bog Shambler, I talked about this on an episode of Beer Blues and BS. This thing is cool. It is so far one of my favorite things previewed. It's just awesome. So looking forward to that. This Rageclaw Warrior, he's out of Reaper's Warlord line. Warlord was a war game that they made to kind of use a faction or several factions of their miniatures. So he's one out of there. So is this Craigmar Pummler and this Bloodstone Golem. Tara is another interesting figure. She's part of the 25th anniversary set of miniatures that Reaper's done, and I've actually painted one of her up. At one of them up. Oh, it's hiccups. I actually painted one of these up for my wife as a Christmas gift, but I have a few more. Hiccups. We have a dragon cat. Yeah. A rider on a dragon. As I said, some various different figures from Dormer. Vidus, Jokob, the monk, Diva. I love this skeletal Houndmaster. That's just a cool looking figure. And then here are the 16 bonus zombies. And Reaper does this every time since started with Bones 2. But they choose a mob out of the previous Bones, and they take and they give you a bunch of them. And again, it's to help that starting GM, so now you have a chunk of something. So they've done Lizardmen, Kobolds was in the last one, and zombies in this one. I'm going to finish that water. Still have these hiccups. And now, after those, we're starting to see some of these unlocks. So, like these Telt's Guard, the Dawn Seekers, which is just kind of another adventure party that they created. The Dreadmere set is out of their Dreadmere setting that Reaper has done. these ants have proven to be very popular. I've seen a lot of calls for these to be broken out of the core set because people would love to buy more of them. Apparently, finding good giant ant miniatures not easy to do, and a lot of people love them. I'm sorry, you're all just gonna have to live with the hiccups. I'm gonna have to live with the hiccups. There's nothing I can do about it. The hiccups are winning. Then we have some Sophies here. Sophie is the unofficial, as the official mascot, I should say, of Reaper. And she is a succubus, and they do different versions of her appearing in kind of different garb, such as the Masquerade or the Bourbon Street Sophie. And they do these at ReaperCon every year. They release a special edition Sophie figure. So these are two of them now being done in bones. Hiccups. We have the Mudmen, which are cool. And then some more figures from Reaper's Rhinewind setting. Toil and Trouble, these witches and the cauldron. Some familiars. This is Nightmare, who kind of looks like a Pegasus, but that's actually his wing. It's kind of a flaming demon hell horse. That's cool. And then we have these mongrel folks, and then the second Sophies. So that's the core set. I have this down here. I was going to show this later, but sweet. One of the things that they did today, as of me recording this, was they put up a social media challenge. If we could share and like enough of the advertisement for this Drift Lurker the Reaper put out, that it would be unlocked and added to the core set, and it happened in a day. So that's a really cool figure. Looking forward to painting that, but it's been added to the core. All right, the expansion sets. So I kind of explained these already. And the first one up is the Green Griffin. And you can see parts of it are unlocked and parts of it have not been unlocked yet. But this is a very much a tavern set. So you're seeing benches, bartender, a bard, this wonderful fireplace with the Griffin mount up here, and a couple more statues holding up the mantle. Tables, barrels, some more kind of patrons and such for it. So some bar patrons, another server. This is actually a ghost, and you can see it has a noose around its neck that it's pulling. Very cool figure, and it's going to actually be cast in translucent plastic, so that's cool. Part 3 was some tables and chairs, another server, and another ghost. Part 4 was some beds, server, bartender, and a couple seated patrons. And then the 5th one comes after 1,000,000. It has yet another ghost, which is very cool looking. Banquet items. This Captain Dimitri, a little halfling server. Bigsby, which is a mimic chest, which is interesting. And this little griffin named Greyhawk, which is a reference to the original D&D setting of Greyhawk. And then a bar. So, very cool. Very cool set. Then we have the Shadows of Sullen Hall expansion. And this is the Undead set. And the first part comes with this really awesome crypt. And some wonderful skeletons, which I believe are sculpted by Bob Rodolfi, who is one of the few sculptors still out there sculpting in needite, green stuff. So many have moved to digital. He's one of the few that haven't. It's also got these bone piles at this shrine, which It's awesome. And some great terrain. And then this wonderful necromancer. And I love that you can see like the you can see the body rising up out of the ground. And then these are all ghosts that are going to be cast in translucent plastic. And these were all done by Julie Guthrie. Again, I'm one of the few sculptors out there who does it all in Neatite. So very cool. Very cool. And then part 4, which I showed earlier, were the vampires. And then here's part 5 with these wonderful, heavily armed skeletons, but also this giant skeleton on a 3-inch base. I mean, that thing is massive and it looks cool. I'm really excited about that. To me, that's an awesome piece. I have Reaper's other giant skeleton, but it's like warped. It's supposed to be striking the ground in front of it, and it's more like it's reaching back. I'm going to have to reshape that one. And then Briarwood. And this is their Fey expansion. So it's got these great red cap chopper, slasher, and cutter. So kind of red cap goblins. They're very, very, very good. Most of the set was done by Christina Van Patten, and her stuff has got this wonderful. She does a wonderful job of capturing character within it. It's great. We have some sylphs. So there's one for each season. It's very cool. We showed the second part because that hasn't unlocked yet. But let's jump down here. The third part. These are bee folk. So anthropomorphic bees. And I love them. I think they're awesome. Some people were complaining that they were on hex spaces, but others pointed out that, you know, honeycombs are hex shaped, so it only makes sense. And then a murder hornet, which was made originally when the threat of actual murder hornets in the United States was becoming a real thing, and Reaper saved it for this. So, and then the fourth part are all mushrooms. So this wonderful fungal queen and king, and the fungal queen is a remake. Christina had said she wanted to try it again and do it better, and it's a beautiful figure. This guy looks like just an absolute beast. I'm gonna love painting him up. Another tree guy. I love this. I think that'll be fun. Korat, some fairies, some little fairy dragons, and then a large fairy dragon. He's on a 4-inch base, so I think they said he's 7 inches tall. They just revealed a render of him for it, and maybe if I have time, I will try and capture that and put it in. But it's gorgeous. And then this alicorn. So as you can see, a lot of their stuff they have already sculpted, but there's always a few pieces that they're still working on designing and going as this goes. Now, there are a couple more expansions that they have announced, but they haven't shared anything yet. So there's the Denizens of the... let's try it again. The Denizens of the Dungeon expansion. So that one's coming. And then the Lost Tombs of Occur. Then we have those optional add-in buy-ins. There is the Painter's Picks. It's a set of 12 paints, and these are all existing paints in the line, but these are paints that the painters who often paint for Reaper would say are wonderful paints that people just haven't found or really love as much as they should. I have a couple of these. I loved Aged Pewter. It is fantastic. So I'll be picking this up just to add to my collection easily. Here's the Black Mane Knolls. Now, Knolls I always have found cool. I don't have a lot of them in my collection already. So I will be going after these guys yeah, I'll be adding them. But they're great. I love the character in them. Fantastic. The Men at Arms. This is something that often gets called for. It's basically a sprue that allows you to make the 6 figures. So, so you can build kind of all 6 of these guys. So for each $14, you get 6 of these guys, and you can kind of mix and match a little bit within that and such. So I will probably pick up a couple of those, but not a lot. Especially depending on some of the others. All right. The Pathfinder Chibi Heroes. Okay. So one of the things I always like talking about controversy, and these things are surprisingly controversial. If you aren't familiar with what chibi is this anime style that kind of has some off proportions, larger heads, smaller bodies, big eyes, considered very cute. Reaper has decided to take their iconic Pathfinder figures and chibify them. And here's the thing. Some people love chibi. Other people hate chibi. And it always amazes me. I already saw, when this first got announced, I saw in the comments where somebody put, loving everything about this Kickstarter, stop with the chibi. Nobody wants chibi. And it's like, just let it go. It's not in the core set. It's a $35 option. If you want it, get it. If you don't. I will be getting it. I might even pick up a second set. My wife likes painting these as well, so that way she can paint one, I can paint one. So there's that. We have these orcs of the Ragged Wound. So some kind of old style orcs, but very, very flavorful. Like, I like this guy. He's got hands nailed to his shield, so that is awesome. And then we have some Pathfinder goblin piece. We have some Pathfinder chibi goblins, and they just look awesome. So we'll be getting those. So that's pretty much it. You can kind of see what I'm excited for and such. But as I said, my biggest complaint, if it's been anything about this, is the hiccups. Clearly the hiccups. It is, as I said, the things that have been shared, but we haven't gotten to see. So just as an example, like here at 975, there's a werebear, and he is awesome. If I zoom in, look at this guy. But this was something that was shown on their Twitch stream, and only later came out. I think I found this photos off their Twitter page. Actually, no, this one comes to me thanks to the folks at the Reaper Forums. I did also find it on their Twitter page. But if it wasn't for the folks on the Reaper Forums who was grabbing this, I would not have seen this. And this is one of those figures where I saw it in the comments and I went looking for it. So, as I said, things that I just don't like that they're doing with these. Another one that's upcoming is this guy. It's the first of the two big dragons coming up. I think he's a $16 add-on when he finally gets up there. But again, this is pulling it off the Reaper forums where somebody screenshotted it and not out to where some of us others would see it. So that brings us through Mode 6 with what's out there and what's available. Overall, I'm loving a lot of what I see. And I'm excited to paint. I'm excited to paint a lot of what I see. I'm also excited for these hiccups to go away. Oh, well. It's the problem with trying to do these sometimes. This is probably the only time I'm going to get to do this. So great. I'm out of water, so that won't help. All of this said, I like Bones 6. I like what I'm seeing. I wish Reaper wouldn't rely so heavily on Twitch. And yeah, I know I can find it back on YouTube and that, but still, it's, over a quarter of a week, it's asking for 5 hours of my time in order to stay up to date on this. And it just doesn't feel good. Now that they're putting some more of the updates out that show a bit more, that has helped. Again, the Reaper Forum, the great folks over there have made it helpful. So I'm in. I have already pledged some money. I will probably pledge some more as some more stuff gets revealed. How much? I don't know. And it all kind of depends on what all gets revealed. But that's enough. Thanks for tolerating my hiccups. I was hoping to get through all of this without them. Thank you all for sitting through this and tolerating the hiccups. They are annoying. They've been annoying all night, and I was hoping I could get through it. I had a nice spell where I disappeared, and now they are back. And I think it's time for me to give up and go to bed. But thank you for joining in. Please go check out Reaper Miniatures, and especially check out their Bone 6 Kickstarter. If you were just getting into the painting hobby, you can't go wrong. They're cheap, and you can get some really cool things. So, great place to start. And if you're looking for a great place to learn and a great community, I've said it several times, but the wonderful folks over at the Reaper Forum, the forum is a great, positive place. I've been there. Gosh, I think I've been on or around the forum for about 10 years now. So a long time lurker, and such. But wonderful place. But enough of me, enough of my hiccups. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time down here in Howard's Cave of Wonder. Sans hiccups.